Hey, it's Matthew from the WeWeb team, and today we're going to be running through how you can use Copilot to generate designs with images that you pass into it. So let's jump in. So as a first example, let's start with something that we all know and love, like the Google homepage. So to have Copilot recreate this, it's as simple as taking a screenshot and passing that screenshot into Copilot. So I'll take a screenshot of the area, I'll click the file icon in the bottom left of the chat interface, and I'll upload the image we've just taken. So I've uploaded the image to Copilot, and I'll now just prompt it to recreate this image. So Copilot's generated our designs, and this is a pretty good attempt. However, the one thing it hasn't done correctly is this footer should obviously be at the bottom of the page, so I'll prompt it to make the correction. And there we go. The footer is now at the bottom of our page. So just to see the different design states Copilot has given us, if I put this into preview mode and have a play around, I can see our search bar nicely has this background shadow on hover. I can see the buttons have a hover effect also, and then likewise with these buttons in the navigation, I can see they have a hover effect, but they don't have a drop down. So that's one thing I want Copilot to add to. So I can bring up the chat with Copilot again, and I can prompt it to add a drop down to those two icons in the top right navigation. And since we're asking for a drop-down, this could be misinterpreted to mean that we want Copilot to build a custom drop-down, but WeWeb has a drop-down element and I want Copilot to utilize this. So here, just to avoid any potential misinterpretation, I'm actually going to ask Copilot to use the page generation agent. So Copilot has now completed that generation, and if I put it into preview mode and click on the icons, we can see here for the grid icon we now have this nice drop down associated with it, and then for the user avatar we also have a fantastic user avatar drop down, all generated by Copilot. And so for Copilot to generate this page, I gave it a single screenshot of the Google homepage. And this works pretty well because there isn't a ton of elements on the screen. But if you give Copilot a single screenshot of something that you want it to recreate, and there's a huge amount of elements, it sometimes can just be too much context for Copilot to utilize at once. So the generations might not be the best they possibly could be. So as an example, I'm now going to give Copilot a screenshot of the Airbnb listing page, and there's quite a few elements on the screen. So we'll see how Copilot does with it. So here is what I'll be passing into Copilot, a screenshot of this entire page. And so if I switch back to our tab with WeWeb, we can see here I have that screenshot pasted in, and I'll ask Copilot to now recreate this. So Copilot has now generated our page, and again, it's done a pretty good job, but I can see there's a few things here and there that it hasn't quite done correctly. This just comes down to how much we gave it in terms of context of what needs to be on the page. There was a lot of elements inside of the screenshot. So if I put this into preview mode and scroll down slightly so we can see the content, and we switch to the Airbnb tab I have open so we can compare them, instantly I can see that these tags that are vertical are horizontal in our recreation. And also if I reference the screenshot that I gave Copilot, I can see that there's this section at the bottom that was also on the Airbnb page, this where you'll sleep part. Copilot didn't create it. So if you want Copilot to successfully recreate something that has a huge amount of elements, the best way to do so is to break it down modularly. And what do I mean by that? In the case of the Airbnb listing page, the best way to do it would be to actually pass in a screenshot of each section one by one. So for example, first passing in a screenshot of the header, then passing in a screenshot of this section with the images, then a screenshot of this reservation card, and so on. If using images as context, the best way to actually work with Copilot is to build a foundation for it. So almost building a skeleton of your page with sections and flex boxes, passing those flex boxes and sections into Copilot along with the appropriate images, and having it recreate those respective designs inside of those flex boxes or sections. So I'll now do that. I'm going to recreate our Airbnb listing page down to this section, what this place offers. So I'm going to delete what we currently have, build a skeleton of the page using sections and divs, and for each part of the page, only pass in the applicable screenshot and have Copilot build each part one by one. I'll speed this part up. So Copilot has now generated all the sections we need. This might look like a bit of a mess, but this is actually a great way to use Copilot because I can now just take a few minutes to make some small adjustments that will make a massive difference in terms of designs. So I've made my changes and we now have our base clone of the Airbnb listing page with all of the information we saw on the page and this booking reservation card that remains sticky as I scroll. If I switch back to the Airbnb page just to compare them and then back to the WeWeb, we can see there isn't a ton of difference. The main difference between the two is that the Airbnb site has a max width, whereas ours is set to take up the entire width, but given this took only 10 minutes, I could spend more time making those small design tweaks to make it a one-to-one replica. So that was how you can pass in images as context to Copilot and have it recreate designs. As you can see, it can save you a ton of time. The clone you just saw took me 10 minutes to generate. As with everything Copilot, we can't wait to see what you do with this, so any generations you create using images, please do share them with us. Copilot is soon to launch. We'll shortly be giving out early access to those who are signed up for the waitlist. If you're interested in signing up for the waitlist, there's a link in the description. Until next time, I'll catch you in the next one.